Hello there friends, and today we're going to be discussing the bad side of property, tenants from hell. These are the worst tenants I've had in over 20 years of renting out property. Now I've seen hundreds of tenants come and go in that time, and most of them are pretty good. You get the occasional one that are fantastic, they pay their rent on time, they actually leave your property better than when you found it, but they are rare. And you have the opposite and equally bad side to that, the awful tenants don't pay their rent, they don't look after your properties, and you just cannot wait to get them out and have this awful headache out of your life. Now, unfortunately, I had one of my worst tenants when I was actually very young. I was about 21 years old. I've been buying properties, but I only had a handful of properties at this point. And I have a 3-bedroom flat above a shop that I bought with my father. Now, we had a letting agent show some people around. There's a bus driver and his family. Obviously, I never met them. I try and let the estate agents deal with all that sort of thing. And yeah, they said they had this bus driver, family, the income stacked up, etc. And we were going to take him on, so we agreed. Now, what I didn't know, this estate agent actually took all the fees up front for a whole year. Now, I have learnt my lesson from this and never ever do that again, because the motivation for them to find you a fantastic tenant that pays it when they've already been paid themselves drops quite a good amount. But if they're getting paid monthly and they don't get paid if the tenant stops paying, the motivation to find a good tenant, I learnt the hard way, is a lot higher. So anyway, they moved in, they paid the first month's rent, so everything was fine. And after that, they never paid me again. And they were in that property for 10 long months. So had a real nightmare, obviously trying to get them out. We went to court. I got a court order to get these people out, which I was very happy about. And they had like bailiffs going around to change the locks on the day of the order. And these people knew the rules very, very well, and they refused to leave, as they can do this on the first order. So I got charged, obviously, for these two men going around to change the locks, as I was trying to sort of keep myself out of it, didn't really want to get involved. And yeah, they stayed in, and we had to then go back to court. So we're another now 2 months down the road, and finally got the final court order where they have to leave, there's no excuses, and I was very happy. Luckily, my dad ran a removals company at this point, so I got a van and one of my dad's employees, and we drove down just in case they left anything behind, so then I could get the cleaners in and then finally get some paying tenants. And when I turned up, wow, I opened the door. Well, I sort of opened the door and there was just letters stacked up, I'm not exaggerating, up to about sort of knee to hip height in places, of all these unopened letters, old newspapers, and I couldn't see the hallway. I thought they sort of barricaded the door, but they hadn't. I sort of shoved my way in and looked around and realised obviously all the stuff was still there, and you couldn't see the floor anywhere. This is a massive sort of 3-bedroom flat. I couldn't see the floor. There was stuff piled up everywhere, all these brand new TVs, etc., with still like tags hanging on them. And as I'm looking through all the posts, there's all these basically bills for everything they've taken out on credit and haven't paid anyone. And the place was extremely smelly. Yeah, food debris was everywhere in the kitchen, just food, rotting food on the sides. And unfortunately, when I went upstairs, it didn't get any worse. Luckily, we could walk upstairs. It wasn't, that's the one bit of carpet maybe I could see a bit of. But then when I went to the bedrooms, underneath the beds, there was just plates of food that were moulding over, and sort of flies sort of buzzing around it. And the smell was really, really bad. And once again, upstairs, you couldn't see any of the carpet because it was just covered in either clothes, once again, letters just everywhere, and yeah, food debris and empty plates and smelly socks and all the things that you don't want to find. So anyway, I start clearing out all this stuff, thinking they've just sort of abandoned it all. And then we're about half of a van load in, and this family turn up, the slob family from hell, I call them, because they were extremely large and overweight. And what are you doing with our stuff? I said, well, I'm the landlord. You know, this is the second time we've had to go back to court now. I've got the court order, and you're meant to be in. You've left all your stuff. And where's my rent for the last 10 months? You know, they've sort of started shouting at me, you can't do that, you can't come in here to our property and get rid of our stuff. And I said, well, I think you find you can, and that's exactly what I am doing. And then the young sort of teenage son, about 18, 19, sort of got in my face, and I not very politely told him to get out of my face before, you know, things were going to escalate, which isn't obviously a great scenario to be in. Anyway, after sort of giving it back to them, luckily they left. I carried on emptying the stuff, and I'm sort of holding my nose as I'm doing it, and I'm getting more and more annoyed, as this flat was really, really lovely when I gave it to them, and you know, it was just very disrespected, to put it politely, for 10 months. And then the police turned up. The police turned up and says, oh hi, we've had a report that you're stealing this family's stuff. And I said, stealing? I said, no, like I've got a court order, they haven't paid me for 10 months, and I'm getting rid of stuff. And they said, well, you know, you can't just take their stuff, you've got to put it all back in. I said, you're having a laugh. Like, they've been in here for 10 months, we've gone to court once, they had to pay something, they didn't leave, I've come back again with the final court order, and you know, I'm getting rid of the stuff because I need to get it cleaned, I need to get some rent in because I haven't had any rent for 10 months. They said, have you got the court order on you? And like a complete idiot, I'd left it at home. I went, no, I haven't, but I have got it. And they went, well, unless we can see it, you're going to have to get all that stuff and put it back in, and they are actually going to get to stay there. As you can imagine, I was feeling a little bit deflated after the police said this, and I said to him, look, would you please come in and just see what we're dealing with here, see what type of people you're speaking to, because perhaps you're not quite understanding and you're thinking I'm the aggressor, and it's very much not that way inclined. I've done everything 100% legally by the book. And they come in and they were even more shocked than I was, and they went, oh wow, oh my God. And I said, yeah, I know, this is like something off of a TV program. And they're like, you can't see the floor. I said, yeah. I said, you look at all those bills as well, virtually all of it is bills, just piled up like this everywhere, and I just haven't even opened them, not bothered. And luckily for me, one of the police people there said, well, I was actually a letting agent for 20 years, so I've seen this before and I know exactly what type of person you're dealing with here. But they said, unfortunately, unless you can show us proof of this court order, you will have to get the stuff back. I said, look, can you just go and ask them and tell them and just see whether they will verify what I'm saying? So luckily they did, and amazingly they agreed that they had this second court order, so then I didn't need to take all their stuff back. So the police agreed that I would clear all their stuff, put it in storage, and then they could come and pick it up at a later date. So anyway, I'm taking all this stuff away, and they had the cheek to come out a few points, because they were sort of 5 doors down with a friend they'd made about 5 doors down, saying, you be careful with this, you be careful with that. Not like, oh, I'm going to give you a hand with all this stuff. They wouldn't do because they're too lazy. And yeah, once again, a few expletives went their way and they moseyed off. Luckily for me though, they hadn't smashed the place up. It was just really, really awful and needed the deepest of deep cleans to try and get all the food out of the carpets, etc. And then I got all those people in, and they had to pay them extra because obviously it was not a very pleasant job. But it could have been a lot worse. The other saving grace is I also had rent insurance on this property, so I didn't get paid for the first 6 weeks that they didn't pay for. That was on me, and after that the rent insurance actually paid me out for all the monies lost. So in the end, my awful situation, when you look at it in the cold light of day, wasn't actually too bad. It was pretty stressful sort of going to court, getting them out, but I was letting the agent deal with most of that. I very swiftly sacked that letting agent as they said, oh, we've got another tenant for you after this one. I said, no, you're all right. You know, are you going to take that fee up front again for the year? Oh, yeah, no, thank you. Got someone else, and ever since then, I've actually had very good tenants in that property, and that was, like I say, by far the worst one I had. I have had other ones, but that one, you know, that wasn't great, and especially getting almost into sort of a physical situation with the teenage son wasn't ideal and not a very professional way to deal with things, but I was a little younger and hot-headed then. So tell me what you think. You know, did I deal with this the right way, the wrong way? Should I have maybe kept my temper or sent someone else there to go and sort this situation out? Yeah, like I say, I was 21, so I was still pretty young, pretty new to property, and you know, didn't really know 100% what I was doing. But like I was saying, most tenants are really, really good. This is an outlier, and you do get them, but you know, most are good. But if you're going to be in property, you're going to have a large portfolio. Unfortunately, this is some of the things that you will have to deal with. So if you're someone that really struggles with any stress at all, perhaps property isn't for you. I hope you liked today's little story. Please like, subscribe and comment, and we will see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.